What is up guys, and welcome to another World of Warcraft guide video. We haven't done this in a while. Introducing the none other than the Vengeance Demon Hunter Tanking Guide, Mythic Plus Edition. So if you want to just try Demon Hunter out and try the tanking role for a while, or just want to get your tank ready for 9.1, gearing up a little bit, you know, and as a must, you like Mythic Plus, this is the guide for you. So let's start with talents. The build is similar to Torghast build for Vengeance Demon Hunters, and yes, they are viable, but you could change some talents according to your gear level, how much survivability you need, and why not your playstyle. So for the first talent, well, depending if you play the Fire build or the Spirit Bomb build, but regardless, I think that Abyssal Strike is the best talent. It always will be, especially with big packs of mobs like in Mythic Plus. You already know, when you Infernal Strike in a position, you leave a sigil of flame, boom, this damages the nearby mobs and gives them a fire debuff. And of course, your Infernal Strike cooldown is reduced by 8 seconds and you have 2 stacks. Imagine the mobility plus damage. The only talent that is not viable in this row is Fellblade. You do not need this extra mobility at all. Agonizing Flames, yeah, it increases your movement speed, Immolation Hour, but you're dependent on Immolation Hour. Like, Infernal Strike has a way shorter cooldown. For the next row, well, Feast of Souls is the worst talent in here. It provides a very small amount of healing, and it doesn't have a lot of uptime because, you know, you use Soul Cleave for Fury Dump. So as I was saying, if you want to go for the Survivor build, you go Agonizing Flames and Burning Alive, which causes your Firebrand to spread to one nearby enemy. I personally go with Fallout. Immolation Aura's first burst has a chance, well, bigger chance if you pull big packs of mobs, to drop a Soul Fragment, which obviously will heal you with Spirit Bomb and Soul Cleave. Fallout is the best talent in this tier, but Burning Alive is useful if you needed that extra survivability. For the next row, Infernal Armor. Infernal Armor goes hand in hand with Agonizing Flames. Provides a little bit of a DPS. Immolation Hour gives you 20% armor, which provides, obviously, survivability. This is interchangeable with Charred Flesh if you want to play with the Fiery Brand build. But again, Spirit Bomb build, I go for the Spirit Bomb build. I think it's the best. It's versatile. You deal a lot of damage as a tank, you help your DPS, you know, and you have enough survivability as it is. But yeah, if you're trying to be a low item level tank and go into like big keys, you will need that survival build. So yeah, Spirit Bomb is usually taken where you don't need that extra survivability. But anyway, in itself provides you some, because you damage your nearby enemies as fire damage, which is not mitigated by armor, and gives the targets some debuffs that actually heal you for 10% of the damage you deal to them. So again, big packs of mobs. That's why the Demon Hunter is one of the best tanks in Mythic Plus. You can pull a lot of mobs, you have a lot of mobility, and yeah, sometimes you lack a bit in survivability, but overall it's great. Next row, Soul Rending. Useless talent, do not pick this. That additional leech is worth almost nothing. Feed the Demon, again for survivability, if you need that Demon Spike's extra uptime because the bosses just hit you hard in the face or some mob will be giving you headaches. But if that's not the case, what I go for, and it provides a lot of damage, is Fracture. It replaces your sheer ability. You can no longer spam sheer, but you have 2 stacks of Fracture and it deals a lot of damage and shatters 2 soul fragments, which you can use with Spirit Bomb as a combo. So a lot of damage, you go with Spirit Bomb, you debuffed all the targets around you, and then you Soul Cleave for Fury Dump. Oh, and by the way, Fracture builds Fury. So generally the rotation is next row. So you pick Concentrated Sigils if you do not care about the utility of the other 2 talents. I don't know why you would do that, but okay. Because it goes hand in hand with Abyssal Strike. Like, you jump to a position and you put 2 sigils, see? For this example, you damage nearby enemies and you fear nearby enemies. Or silence, or whatever you want to do in that moment. If you use the Kyrian Covenant, Quicken Sigil goes well with Elysian Decree. It provides good damage and it should be default if you are playing Kyrian. But another generally great talent, and I will always use this talent regardless, is Sigil of Chains, one of the best talents out there. So let's say there's a pack of mobs stuck in the Sanguine pool on the ground, right? And no one can interrupt him or something and he's just staying there. Like that robot from Spires of Ascension. So he just casts Recharge Anima, you can do nothing to him and he'll just heal up. This is one moment when Sigil of Chains is great. One example. We just put a sigil here and it pulls all the nearby mobs at its location. I think this is the best talent for Mythic Plus. For the next row, I don't even know what Void Reaver does, because again, Soul Cleave is just a Fury dump. It does not matter that much. You can pick Soul Barrier if you feel like you're not resisting, especially in boss fights. I used this in the beginning because I thought, okay, there's a crit coming, my demon spikes are not up, and I risk dying because of a powerful spell. So that's when I use Soul Barrier, because I had some souls already because of Fracture. So I decided not to use Spirit Bomb, I used Soul Barrier, and then built my Soul Fragments with Fracture again, and then use Spirit Bomb. So that gave me some survivability. But again, I think Demonic is the best talent, because not only you are getting healed by your Fell Devastation spell, you also get transformed into your demon form. Same as Demonic for Havoc. And in the demon form, you're basically invincible, dude. I mean, come on. I have 80k health there. Probably you guys have even more if you're a lot more gear than me. So Demonic, I think it's the best talent. Soul Barrier just in some cases. It's not as good as Demonic. And of course I use Demonic because I have the Collective Anguish legendary power. For the last row, the only viable talent here, and it saved me from a lot of situations, is the Last Resort. When you're getting fatal damage, you transform yourself into a demon. Basically the metamorphosis. So your metamorphosis can have a lot of uptime if you use the Spirit Bomb build. Or at least pick Demonic in Last Resort. You pull a big pack of mobs. That's how I do it. Then you cast Fell Devastation. Then you get Metamorphosis. You go with the rotation, you know, Fracture, Spirit Bomb, Soul Cleave. And then if you still think you have trouble, you use the Metamorphosis spell itself and continue the rotation. If you still have problems, the Last Resort will help you again. Or, you know, these cases are interchangeable. For example, you can just wait for the Last Resort and then use your Metamorphosis spell if that uptime wasn't enough. So these were the talents. In my opinion, regardless, you should go for the Spirit Bomb build. For Covenants, this is a sensitive subject for me. The best Covenant for Vengeance Demon Hunter will always be, at least in this patch, Kyrian. Especially Clea. I do not use the Kyrian Covenant myself because I like to PvP as well. The Covenant that I use is obviously Night Fae, because Night Fae is very good in PvP, and you guys know I always play a hybrid. I like to PvP as Havoc and PvE as Vengeance. But don't despair if you want to use Night Fae. We have a good build for that too. The best decision for this Covenant is Dreamweaver. Hands down. Because of course you have the Seed. You know, if you're about to die, you're gonna transform into a Seed. And if that Seed is not killed, you will survive that fatal damage. And that's very useful if you don't have Last Resort, for example. Or your Metamorphosis is on cooldown and your Fell Devastation is on cooldown. Basically, you take every survival chance you have. Fell Devastation, Conduit, obviously, because, you know, we're gonna use this a lot. This is a big part of our rotation, and the additional healing is amazing. Coupled with Collective Anguish and the damage, this is like my favorite spell. Then we go with the Hunt for that additional DPS against the primary target. This is also useful for you if you feel like you want to kill a mob faster because, you know, it damages the group hard or you're gonna have problems with it. You can just use the Hunt on that mob and kill it. You do not need to actually save the cooldown for the boss or something. Your DPS overall will not be that big as, you know, the DPS rolls. And then we use this talent, which I like it a lot, Social Butterfly. So your allies usually will sit at 8 yards from you, especially melee. In Mythic Plus, sometimes you group together, you know, to avoid some damage or some mechanic. And as a result, you get versatility by 3% for 5 seconds. Versatility, very good talent because it provides increased damage and healing. And you can pass it to 2 nearby allies when it expires on you. Then I go Fell Defender. I really need to upgrade this Conduit. The cooldown of Fell Devastation is reduced by 5 seconds. So again, your uptime of Fell Devastation is a lot higher. You get a lot more healing with this build, and obviously your Metamorphosis will have a higher uptime. Viscous Ink, this is like a must. Demonic Wars also reduce magic damage taken by 7% because we do not have any damage reduction whatsoever. No spell, no active mitigation, so this comes in handy a lot. Well, we pick Fairy Dust because, you know, who sits 60 seconds in a rested area, gain 20% increased movement speed for 30 minutes, and we're just like, wow, we're gonna use this. And the last talent, which is a given, Field of Blossoms. This helps you because when you cast the Hunt, you leave a circle, and that circle provides you with haste. And haste is one very good stat for us. So that's it for the Covenant. Oh, and as a Night Fae, you can use your soul shape to run from some bosses or mobs. Especially when mobs with like necrotic effect. You cannot run from these mobs. You have to run from them to drop all their stacks, because if they hit you, you gain another stack. Soul shape is perfect in those moments. You can kite them along while your group helps you to keep them away from you. And obviously with more kiting, more survivability. Now let me show you some basic rotation. So now that we're back to our fairy covenant, I'm gonna start with the hunt. So the hunt, see the circle down there? Already have a lot of haste. Fracture, Immolation Aura, probably Demo Specs if I need it. Firebrand. If I see the group is a bit more powerful, build my Fury, boom, Fell Devastation. With Collective Anguish, it provides me a lot more heal. And now I just Fury Dump with Soul Cleave. So again, Fracture, Immolation Aura, Spirit Bomb, Soul Cleave. So see, I'm trying to stay up now. I'm gonna have a little bit of a problem. In 9 seconds I will have again Fell Devastation, so I'm trying to gather as much soul fragments as I can, while having enough Fury. Use my Metamorphosis because I thought I would die. Let my Metamorphosis expire. Use Fell Devastation, look at that healing. No problems now, 4 stacks on Spirit Bomb, and additional healing from the Hunt. My Last Resort hasn't kicked in yet. See, Last Resort kicked in. 4 seconds until Fell Devastation. I will let my Metamorphosis expire before I use it, obviously. And now, Fell Devastation again. And healed right back up. Demo Spikes and so on. Well, use Demo Spikes when you don't have Metamorphosis, because Metamorphosis does give you a lot of armor. You should go for Resilix Defilement if you're playing Kyrian. It helps your Sigil and helps your Elysian's Decree. But I go Collective Anguish because I'm Night Fae, because I like to PvP. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this guide. I hope you found it helpful. I hope it was educational. If you made it to the end, you might want to consider giving it a like. And if you're new, you might consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you get all the notifications. And I'll see you guys next time with some more helpful tips and gameplays. Peace!